Welcome back, everyone. Man, oh man, woman, oh woman, ma'am, oh ma'am. I've missed you all so much. It's been like, wow, where have you all been? And more to the point, you're probably thinking, Kev Baker, where the hell have you been? But I'm back. This is our new pre-show live stream here on the channel. And we've gone back to doing the radio show over on tfrlive.com for now. And there's also, last night, I seen in the chat room people talking about how there is a way to listen to the show on YouTube. Now, I seen people in the chat room talking about a TFR live stream, and they may still have the link there. If not, I'll try and find it before the end of the show. But I know there was some people was saying they couldn't get into the chat room, the Wookiee cave as I call it, over at TFR. But there is that alternative here on YouTube, so there may be people in there who are able to drop you a link to that. So it's kind of been weird not being online simulcasting, I must admit. And I've really come to appreciate all of you so much, and you know, the people that come back time and time and time again, time after time. And we've got something good going here. And we're certainly not going to be cutting down or losing any YouTube content, because I'm going to be doing extra YouTube stuff on top of the pre-show stream, on top of the radio stuff as well. It's just content. And I don't know, there's something about the atmosphere now, the way the world is these days. You know, it's got my thinking really, it's really honing in. My creative juices are flowing. And tonight on the main show, even I'm surprised at what I've done today. I've written a big long monologue. It's very Clyde Lewis-ish. And I make no secret of the fact that I really look up to Clyde Lewis. I love his show. And he always starts off with a really interesting monologue to get the imagination going. So that then, when we open up the phone lines, me, and tonight my very special guest co-host, Jimmy Jeans, will be able to take all of your calls. Now, warning, disclaimer, the first story that we're going to go into here today, the strange sounds, you're going to hear me talking about this again on the show tonight as part of what we're going to be getting into. So I'm warning you now that this first part here, when we take a look at or take a listen to all these strange sounds that we often love to sit back and listen to, that will be featuring, and it will be a big part of tonight's main Kev Baker show, which starts, right, get this, in just over an hour. So my intention with the pre-show live stream is to get you all warmed up, to chill out with the chat, to go over some woo, and then we launch in to the main KBS live. Okay, so then with that said, I want to thank everyone that's out there, all the people in chat land. Remember to set it to live chat. I remembered today, you see, thinking clearly. It's happening for once. Yeah, remember to go to live chat, and then you'll see everything. So we've got First World Problem in there, and he says, Algo, does that mean Kev will be on there instead? It means Kev will be on tfrlive.com, the radio show, and TFR Live, they have a YouTube channel which streams TFR 24/7. So you'll be able to, if you can't get in over at TFR Live for whatever reason, and I know our browsers are all pesky as heck these days. That's what happens when you've got so many backdoors in them. But there is that alternative. You've got iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, I think. And now, of course, you've got the TFR live stream as well. But Jason, don't you worry, brother, because it won't mean that we're losing out on KBS time on YouTube. I'm just going to do more YouTube stuff as well. We're going to start with that today. I've got Strange Sounds. I've got Woo. In there, we have got Algo, First World, Polynation, Dead. We've got Jimmy. He's kicking back in there. I just seen his message before I came live on here. In fact, I think I just clicked live. And yeah, he's going to come and hang out with me tonight. Tomorrow on the Kev Baker Show, 2 hours with Bill Bean. First hour, we'll be getting into all the kind of Woo, the Exorcist type stuff. And then we'll be opening up the phones for you to speak to the spiritual warrior. And then on Saturday, very special broadcast, Nano Girl will be live here on the stream, and it will be at the same time as the Kev Baker show during the week. So that's 10 p.m. in the UK, that's 2 p.m. on the East Coast, and 11 a.m. No, let me think now. Let me just pull that back. 10 p.m. here in the UK, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, and 2 p.m. on the West Coast. I don't even know the time of my own show. That's pretty bad, right? So I've seen Sam in there as well. And Sam, and thank you for your message yesterday. The Discord, I love that, you know, we can get in touch in there. And people, you know, just because it's like the KBS Discord server, that doesn't mean that I'm any leader in there. I'm barely in there, to be honest with you. It's more a place where all of you can take what we've got in the chat room and keep it going 24/7. And I often talk to Nancy, our good friend, often in the chat room. We were having a laugh last night about the Discord. It's constant. It is 24/7. So there's always something on the go in there. You'll find Anne hanging out in the Discord sometimes as well. So it's just an extra little thing that we've got here at KBS. And I'm thinking of extra things to add along the way as well. ZX81, his name is on the running board on the subtitles today because he was first in the chat. Yes, indeed. You may or may not have noticed that. But that will come round on the ticker in all good course. Well, who else we got in there? Mannerus, good to see you, brother. Queen Goddess, always polite and courteous, saying hi to everyone. I do. I like this channel. You people rock. You make this channel what it is. Spooky Andy in there as well. Me and Spooky Andy, we often share back and forth, typing away on Skype. Sometimes we talk, and it's great to see you here, bro. And yes, it's a bit strange, you know, not been here the past couple of days. I bet you I have missed all of you more than you've missed me. Maybe you needed that little break to make the heart grow a little bit fonder. I don't know. I was desperate to get back online to speak to you today. It's really chilled, okay? It's really laid back. It is the pre-show chill out. And tonight on the main show, I'm going to be talking about something, and it's something we've talked about before many times on the show. And it's these strange sounds. Now, this is going to make one part of what I've woven together in tonight's tapestry for what I really think is going to be a very infotaining show. There's going to be a lot of Kev speculation thrown in there, a lot of hard science as well, and a lot of things to get you thinking, because that's the mission here, right? Not to tell you what to think, not to dare try and tell you what's going on in the world. All I do is offer my opinion, bring other people's opinions to the table, all in an attempt to hopefully make you think for yourself. I provide, you decide. And there's something about listening to podcasts or radio shows, and when you listen to audio, it really takes it to another level, I think. I think of the Clyde shows with David Oakes, listening to reverse speech, and I also remember from time to time we've listened to these really crazy, weird trumpet sounds. And it's had people talking about trumpets of the apocalypse. Myself, Scott, Joe, Jimmy, all of the guys, we've all from time to time sat and pondered over just what is causing this. Our good friend Andy, remember he called in as well, and he talked about mining and the deep underground military bases and the tunneling that could be going on right now. Definitely a very plausible explanation, perhaps, for some of the noises we hear. We also had a recent noise heard in Anchorage, and we covered that on the show, and then we got a caller from Anchorage. Just amazing. It really blows me away when you find out you got people listening all around the world. And today it's not Anchorage we're going to, because we've got strange sounds all around the world, folks. All around the world. This is getting bizarre, right? Not that things ain't bizarre enough. So if we come over here, you guessed it, it's the mysterious universe. Now remind me, chat, remind me before we get going here, okay? I am on radio in an hour and 10 minutes, and already I'm having fun. I'm glad to be back with you. I'm feeling the vibe. Are you feeling the vibe?
How dare you?
I don't care what she says. I'm feeling the vibe, all right? So don't let me run over my time and miss the start of my own show. That'd be highly embarrassing. So it says here strange noises in the sky heard in Argentina, Slovakia, the US, and Brazil. So one of the consequences of what is becoming a worldwide shutdown of business and travel is that the noise levels outdoors have been reduced drastically to the point where many people are enjoying the quiet. Even seen people in the chat room today talking about the birds. I think somebody was saying that the birds weren't chirping. Now, that would be eerie. That would be eerie. And I know there's been a lot of talk about birds falling from the sky in recent times. We've spoke about it here on the show. I seen another video about it happening elsewhere yesterday. It does happen from time to time. But if we get back to this here, it says here the lack of clatter and shatter is also allowing people to hear more things that they may not have heard before, and therefore may not have worried about before, like the mysterious sounds, horns, and hums reported in many places around the world. Now, that seems to be the case in Brazil, Slovakia, the US, and Argentina, where concerned citizens are uploading recordings, sharing their experience, and getting advice, and often scaring the pants off others. Are these sounds related? What are they? So it says here, quote, at 2:15 p.m., I heard a crash similar to that of a jet crossing the sky, or that of an airplane turbine. I heard it twice. There was nothing in the sky. I didn't see any planes despite being cloudy. And I commented to a friend who lives in another location, and he said he heard it too. So it takes you to a link here to a website. And if we scroll down it here, and it is translated, it says strange noise in the sky intrigues internet users and moves social networks. So if we scroll down here, and it says on Friday afternoon, businessman Paulo Bressan was alerted by his daughter Carol that a subject was being widely commented on social networks. People across the country reported hearing a strange noise in the sky. Now, soon after, Bressan, who lives in Nova Lima in the metropolitan region of Belo Horizonte, also heard the unusual sound at 2:15 p.m. and it's the same quote as we heard before. So if we come down here though, there is actually a video here now. I'm going to fast forward it to the bit where you hear this noise. We just go to here, and hopefully this will play. If I turn the music down, hold on.
Olho é familiar para você. Vou colocar de novo, ó. Vamos lá.
Em todo mundo.
Now, that there in itself, it's very hard to place, and to be quite honest with you, it's quite ambiguous. It could be anything. It sounds very mechanical. I don't want to spend too much time on that one because there's other ones that I think are more intriguing and more interesting that are worthy of our time. But that's something strange to begin with, okay? So if we come down here, it says the website of Tempo, we done that. It noted that the noise on the sky was trending on Twitter, but the Civil Defense website in Belo Horizonte had no mention of the sounds. Local astronomer Bernardo Rydell said that there were no reports of meteorites in the area. It said on April 3rd, 2020, very scary news came from the city of Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. Now, usually there are always a lot of questions with these trumpet sounds since the videos are isolated incidents. But in this case, the whole city heard it all. So it says here, about the same time, the website Solask reported on trumpet sound in Bratislava. In this case, there are multiple YouTube videos of the sounds, which are more like respirators than trumpets, according to one witness. You ready? Let's take a listen. Personally, I don't know what respirator sounds like that. I'm just saying. Things are getting freaky deaky, right? Right? So if we come back here, it says with respirators in the news so much lately, and again, I don't hear a respirator there. But again, that's not me telling you that you don't hear a respirator. Just me personally. That's not what my mind jumps to. Um, Hard. I don't have anything that immediately springs to mind, and that's what's so cool and mysterious about these noises. And what does it all mean? I'm going to blow your minds tonight, folks. I am going to blow your minds. But I digress. It says here, with respirators in the news so much lately, that could just be the power of suggestion, but they do sound more like Darth Vader breathing than Miles Davis blowing. One scientific explanation was the shifting of tectonic plates rubbing against the lost microcontinent of Greater Adria underneath Europe, although there were no reports of earthquakes or other seismic disturbances. Now, I would have to imagine that if you've got continental plates rubbing against each other, it's got to give off some kind of seismic activity. It would have to be recorded somewhere, right? Surely, even the kind of smallest of seismic activity. Remember, we've been looking at how 3 billion people, 4 billion people are locked down. Human activities at an all-time low for the amount of people on the planet. And literally, the crust of the planet is quietening because of this. So surely, if it was something like that, that would be detected. And again, we have to keep our minds open because maybe they do detect things and they just don't tell us. Is it big Earth changes? Sounds something very, very planetary in scale, shall we say. That's all I'm going to say to that one. So it says here, this is something unheard of. I've never heard anything like this. It's beyond my capabilities. And moving to Olivaria in the province of Buenos Aires, Solask also reported of strange, unexplained sounds of various types, some of which disturbed local dogs. Listen here. And on that note, it makes you wonder how many noises are actually happening around us all the time that we don't hear. Screeching and grating, and if it's just outside of our range of frequency, we're not going to hear it. Maybe that's why you do get dogs going crazy sometimes, you know? So it says here, we let's have a listen, in fact. Let's have a listen to this one. In fact, yes, this is it's a picture of an actual fireball going over that one. Did I scroll down too far? Listen to that, right? We've done that one. Listen here. That one takes you to a video that isn't a listen. But it is an interesting meteor. If you look at that there. I know there's a lot of talk of comets and things right now. Comet Atlas, Jimmy was putting me onto. I was talking about that with Nancy last night as well. I was learning more about that. But yeah, that's a pretty. If you've seen that in the sky at night, boy oh boy, dang, dude. Yes, indeed. So we've got that going on in the sky. We come back to the story now. It says researcher Mauricio Gorilli, not gorilla, Gorilli had no explanation, nor did astronomers or meteorologists. That left it open for sites like humanoids in Oliveria to point to what else? Humanoids. So it says we are witnessing the Great Migration. These, the humanoids, have identified us for decades, but now they are approaching en masse. And the sounds registered in the city of Olivaria correspond to the opening of a portal, which is in which it allows that these beings can invade us in a more crowded way. How bloody ominous is that? That wasn't me saying that, folks. That comes from the humanoids in Olivaria action group. I don't know if George Soros sponsors them or not. Probably not. Alien life matters. So, meanwhile, in the US, strange sounds have been recorded in Belton, Missouri. We will take a listen here. Wrap your little
Okay, guys,
hearing
so we
things
keep
around
hearing
this.
really strange noise. We're not sure what it is, and we called the police and reported it because at first we thought it was gunshots.
Jimmy Jeans is going for ultrasonic weapons.
I guess they sent a patrolman over there. They don't know what it is, as far as we know. But just listen. Wait, did you see that flash? Wait, I see flashes over there.
But that can't be thunder.
No, that doesn't look like thunder.
That's a mast or something. Come on, where's your noises?
I don't know if you guys can see those flashes.
Come on, that's a mast or an oil rig or something.
Fireworks, maybe?
No, fireworks would go. Fireworks, you. Sounds like a pistol launch.
That's weird. Like a heartbeat.
I don't even know if my phone is capturing this.
I don't know. Listen to it.
I want to see if I only hear.
Listen
when I
this.
see
Listen
the
again.
Sounds like a pistol launch.
I don't even know if my phone is capturing this.
Get your noises
I
out.
want to see if I only hear it when I see the lights.
No.
It's over there now.
We just heard it all the way over there as well. Are we missing something? Is it a holiday? Is there fireworks? Wait, I hear it again.
I'm sorely disappointed with that offering. I must admit, I can't hide my unimpressedness at that. That's not strange sounds. It's we need to have a word with that lady. She's definitely in the wrong genre there. But anyway, it says, and probably heard in other places. Now, some blame these on the latest villain of the moment. Yes, that new generation of communications. But there's no evidence that that new version of communication towers are making any kind of noises at all. Stop burning them down, folks. Please. There are just some of the latest sounds. Or those are some of the latest sounds. And the website, Strange Sounds, has more. And myself and Jimmy will be diving into a few of them tonight. But is there some sort of logical or scientific explanation for this wide variety of strange noises around the world? Airplanes, gunshots, plate scraping, construction, factories? Is it just because the noise level is down due to the coronavirus lockdowns, causing stir-crazy, locked-up humans who are going outside for a change to hear things they've never been able to hear before? There doesn't seem to be a general cause, and there are far too many to investigate each one individually, so they're being ignored or dumped into, when we get around to it, piles, never to be checked out. And in the meantime, the general public wants answers, or they'll continue to turn to cover-ups, aliens, apocalyptic predictions, and what I'm going to get into tonight on the show. Oh, you want to be there for that, folks? Under an hour. pfrlive.com. So it says here, we will, or will we ever find out? Go outside and listen for yourself. Maybe you'll, or maybe you, will be the one to finally figure it out. If you do, will you tell anyone? Do you dare? And listen, folks, even if you were to go outside and figure out what this noise is in your area, if you were hearing it, all you would be doing, and it's not putting anyone down to say that you would merely be solving that one no longer mysterious sound. It would no longer be mysterious because you've identified it. That can in no way account for all of the sounds that have been heard around the world in the past couple of years. And it's the uptick in the frequency these noises are now being heard that we're going to be looking at tonight on the show. That's as much of a teaser as we're getting there. I've got 3 pages of a document I've typed out. Jimmy Jeans will know I don't type out monologues or introductions, or I usually just fly from the hip and we go for it, right? But yeah, like I say, there's a clarity of thinking that comes to this lockdown mode that I've found. Kind of heightens the senses. And I think all of that comes together as good news for all of you, because we do all have extra time in our hands, and it means yours truly here can get to work getting daily live streams back on the channel for all of you. So I'm going to go and get a quick drink of tea. I'm going to pee, and we're going to get back after this bit of short music. And I've got another couple of woo stories, one that connects into all the stuff we've been talking about with Bruce Fenton and our very own mammoth girl, Jess. Yes, it's about some of the earliest ever human DNA that's been discovered. We're going to get into that, and then we'll touch briefly on some Wookiee woo before we leave here today. And we switch gears, and I head over to the radio, and you join me over there. You join me on iHeart. You can join us over at the TFR Live YouTube channel, where the stream will be going out there as well. As long as you're there, I don't care how you get to listen to it. It just means the world to me that you do take the time out to see what I've put together. And tonight, Jimmy Jeans, he'll be helping me. He's probably sitting there right now thinking, I'm riding shotgun with somebody and I've got absolutely no idea what we're going to be talking about. Isn't that the beauty of working with me, James? Isn't that why you like me? You know it is, dude. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. That's why I told her, get your noises out. I wasn't impressed with that one of those clips there, was I? Now I know why. And I'm going to tell you in just a moment. Solving mystery sounds live on air. Only on the KBS pre-show, right? Thank you all for being here. I'll be back in just a moment. Solved. Unexplained. Explained. Ah. Solved and debunked on the spot. What am I talking about? Well, let us go back to one of the mystery clips that we had a moment ago. And I reacted rather negatively. I was a bit harsh on the young ladies that filmed this clip. I apologise. But something obviously irked me. Something was... my gut was telling me something isn't right here. This has no job. This has got no place posing as woo. I'm going to tell you in a moment just what this sound here is.
I don't even know if my phone is capturing this.
Oh, your phone is capturing it. And I must admit, my mind, looking for that familiarity, went for heartbeat. Right again. So let's take this mystery sound and make it unmysterious and solved and debunked. Our good friend Spooky Andy, yes indeed, he has alerted me to something that is used when they are setting off explosions underground, and the timing of those explosions as well. He's showing me a piece of apparatus called a blast box, which is involved in this underground. I would imagine tunneling, mining, excavating process. And yes, recognized that sound right away. He named that tune in one. Yes, he did. That's why I love Spooky Andy. Absolutely brilliant. Now, that doesn't explain all of them, you see. And some of them are more mysterious than others. We're going to be taking a look at that and a whole lot more tonight later on. In just, 47 minutes from now, I will be live. You see, it's now turned into like an almost 3.5 hour show. If I come on and do the pre-show, then go into the live radio every day. You see, that's how much I love all of you people out there. Armand in the chat room. How you doing, brother? So then, let's move on because I've got more to get to before we shift gears and go KBS main show live, right? And if we come back then to where we were, here we are here. Yes, indeed, really interesting story coming up, and it ties in so much with what we've been talking about with Bruce Fenton and our very own mammoth hunter. And it's so early down in Australia right now. She's definitely conspicuous in her absence in the chat room, but she'll probably be here at some point, and she'll hear us talking about ancient human DNA. Now, I throw up the old air quotes here because it's not human as we know it. No, it's not. And it says, get this, it's human DNA dating back 800,000 years. Yep. 800,000 years. Get a load of this. A cannibal tooth yields the oldest ever human DNA. He obviously had a picture of himself in his back pocket as well. Handsome looking devil. Says here scientists have analysed. Oh, sorry. Well, he is a handsome looking devil. I'm not into dudes, but I suppose he's got it going on for an ancient guy. Scientists have analysed genetic material from a tooth of an ancient human ancestor that lived 800,000 years ago. In a new study published earlier this month, researchers have lifted the lid on one of the most perplexing groups of archaic humans, Homo antecessor. Now, through an analysis of fossil specimens unearthed all the way back in 1994 at a site in the Purca Mountains in northern Spain. Now, the skeletons, which were quite unlike those of any other human ancestor, were cut and fractured in such a way so as to suggest that the species may have practiced some really nasty eating habits. You feel me? Yeah. Now by sequencing the ancient proteins found in the tooth enamel of Homo antecessor, scientists have revealed that this ancient hominin did not fit directly on the same evolutionary tree as humans, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, but was most likely a sister species of one of our shared ancestors. Or may I offer you another result of genetic manipulation? I'm just saying. Many times have we been through this cycle? How many times and variants of us did they come up with before they settled on what we are today? So it goes on to say that I am happy that the protein study provides evidence that Homo antecessor species may be closely related to the last common ancestor of Homo sapiens, Neanderthals and Denisovans, said study co-author Jose Maria Bermudez de Castro. And the features shared by Homo antecessor with the hominins clearly appeared much earlier than previously thought. In addition to shedding new light on the mysterious prehistoric, really, really nasty eating habit, people, the study also broke the world record for the oldest sample of human genetic material ever analysed. 800,000 years old, folks. 800,000 years old. That cat there was kicking about. I just find that fascinating. And I wish I had Jess, or I wish I had Bruce Fenton here with me to see how that fits into what we've been talking about on the show. But never fear, there's always another show near, and Bruce is going to be coming back on again sometime soon. He's going to be talking about his new work, more along the lines of this kind of thing, the alien genetic manipulation, dare I say it. So he's going to be coming back on soon. And I know that we're going to do another show, the three of us again, diving even further down into these ancient mysteries and rabbit holes that I think we all love exploring, right? And talking of that kind of thing, Max, Black Templar, remember him? Used to come on the show. He's getting into all the goblins and the Nordic lore and all that stuff about Valhalla and Ragnarok. Remember all that? Yeah, yep, the Germanic stuff. Well, he's going to be coming back on after Easter, and we're going to be talking about genetics, sort of. We're going to be getting into the bloodlines. What bloodlines, I hear you ask? You did ask that, right?
How dare you?
They're only asking a question, Greta. Am I going to have to, like, pimp hand you? I wouldn't pimp hand. I would not pimp hand Greta. Get that thought out your head right now. But yeah, we're going to be getting into the bloodlines. And as Max has often demonstrated in the few times he's been on live radio and YouTube, he brings an entirely new perspective and an angle to things that we've probably heard before sometimes. Because I know there's things that Max brought out that I've never heard before. But Max has assured us in the chat room it's going to be from a different angle. Can't wait to get into all of that. Talking of genetics and weird stuff like that, how about the other distant relative of man? Maybe 800,000 years old. Definitely still here to this day. What am I talking about? Just pouring my tea. Just keeping you waiting. I'm talking about the Yeti, of course. Bigfoot. But tell me it's not related to man. Tell me. Prove it to me. You have to prove that to me first, folks. So anyway, can't beat a cup of tea. Us British people, we love our cup of tea. So then, if we come back over to my other studio here, screen on Streamlabs, really, what you will see is another story from my website that really should probably pay me a wage. It's the Mysterious Universe. And it says down here, a very bizarre and harrowing yeti encounter. So we're going to get into this. I'm going to hang with you in the chat for 5-10 minutes. I'm going to go. I'm going to refresh myself. I'm going to get ready. And we'll do the big show on tfrlive.com and on the TFR Live YouTube channel as well. iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio apps, Wookie Cave at tfrlive.com chat room. So many ways. No excuse not to be there. And I've put in an extra effort today, so I hope to see you all there very, very soon, okay? But it says here, whoa, 272 people. Are you kidding me? Thank you so, so much. Honestly, I wish I hadn't seen that now. I'm going to put my browser over that. Very, very, don't like speaking to big crowds. At least when you're aware of it, you know what I mean? It says, a very bizarre and harrowing yeti encounter. A very persuasive fixture of the world's mysterious beasts is certainly that of the yeti. Persuasive fixture, of one of the world's mysterious beasts is certainly that of the yeti. Not a good start. Of the Himalayas, often called the abominable snowman, that hulking brute of the mountains. It is also one of the most notable or notably elusive and shy creatures of cryptozoology. But this does not always seem to be the case. One obscure and seemingly forgotten yeti account is also at the same time one of the more peculiar, spectacular, and frightening indeed. It appears within the pages of the May 1957 issue of the publication Sports Afield, and was written by an American medical doctor, George Moore. Now, in the article titled I Met the Abominable Snowman, a True Story, Moore relates a rather harrowing and terrifying encounter he supposedly personally had with the yeti while on an expedition to Nepal in June of 1953, along with an entomologist, Dr. George K. Brooks. Now, he was at the time in the country as a public health advisor to the Nepalese government with the Public Health Division of the US Operations Mission. Now, up to that point, he had been living in Nepal for 2 years in this capacity, and his duties often required him to make treks to isolated and remote villages far removed from civilization, making him a sort of cross between a doctor and Indiana Jones. Now, where we begin a story of adventure, exotic locals, and what seems to be a very angry group of abominable snowmen. Now, on this occasion, Moore was on such an assignment, investigating an outbreak of typhus in the rugged mountainous region of the Tibetan border. Now, Moore and Brooks had successfully completed their mission and were on their way back to Kathmandu with a contingent of Sherpas or Sherpa guides and porters along the perilous Goziankund Pass, made even more harrowing in that there was an ominous storm brewing that was threatening to hit them at any moment. Now, this is a frigid, forbidding land of steep drops into mist-shrouded, wind-swept gorges, slippery, jagged rocks, treacherous cliffs, and soaring peaks that sweep up into the clouds. Yet with the grey or the thick grey storm approaching, they went as fast as was possible. Now, it was apparently getting rather dire, the storm very menacing in its approach, of which Moore would say, black skies, torrents of rain, and foggy slippers, slippery trails, foggy slippers indeed, slippery trails on the sides of the mountains obviously held no love to the Himalayan intruders such as we. Through a blanket of heavy fog and slashing rain, the two doctors quickly made their way to a forested area in their haste to beat the storm, outpacing the Sherpas and leaving them some distance behind. Now, Moore would say of this, Brooks, as we called him, and I pushed as hard and as fast as we dared. Abrasive soled boots and 6-foot balancing poles cut from the timber enabled us to make excellent time on the ribbon of web mud. It was not long before we had left the coolies, or the Sherpas, far behind. Not even their cries and shouts could be heard. The forest was deathly still. Fog banks, raw and cold, drifted through the tall pines and left us, or left their boughs, dripping and wet. Now the forest held its own perils, as there were hungry leeches everywhere, crawling over their boots and relentlessly latching onto their legs faster than they could pull them off, which only fueled their drive to get out of that forsaken place as fast as possible. It was as they made their way through this morass of fog, leeches, and wet, slippery terrain that things would get more bizarre. Moore writes, rounding a sharp turn in the trail, Brooks stopped abruptly. He leaned against a large rock to extract a leech which was on the point of disappearing over the edge of his boot. I stood there watching Brooks and fumbling for my pipe when an almost imperceptible movement in a clump of tall rhododendron caught my eye. Something had moved, I was sure. There it was again. This time a few leaves rustled, more than a mere chance could move. Or more than mere chance could move. Now Brooks, sensing something was wrong, quickly forgot about his leech. Almost simultaneously, we both slipped our revolvers out of their holsters. On our right, the slope was dangerously steep. Behind us, the slope climbed upwards. There was a large boulder by the side of the trail, and we eased over to it, glad for the protection from the rear it afforded. Now we waited, tense and expectant. The stillness was awesome. The fog and mist seemed to form weird shapes, rising and twisting through the dense foliage. So as the two men peered into the murky foliage, as you do, they were startled by a burst of short, high-pitched screams, which they innately knew were not from a human, nor from any wildlife that they were familiar with. This was followed by a staccato, outlandish chattering that seemed to erupt from all around them, which caused them to scramble up a pile of boulders for safety. From atop this perch, they once again scanned the foggy, ethereal landscape around them, trying to figure out what was making that raucous commotion, and how many of them there were. So the forest seemed alive with screams, shrieks, barks, and the incessant chattering. And that was when they finally got a look at what they were dealing with, and Moore would explain of what they saw. Here we go, folks. We saw, oh my word, I just seen that there. That looks like that Photoshop of Joe Joseph I done. Remember the one where he's got the fluffy head? He's in the pond. That looks like Joe Joseph. Just saying. We got some idea of what was there when a hideous face thrust apart the wildly thrashing leaves and gaped at us. I shall not long forget the faces. Greyish skin, beetle black eyebrows, a mouth that seemed to extend from ear to ear, and long yellowish teeth were nerve-shattering enough. But those eyes, beady, yellow eyes, that stared at us with obvious demonical cunning and anger, that face. Weird ideas were beginning to force their way into my mind. Perhaps, but no, damn it. It has to be. This was the abominable snowman. Now, the creature was about 5 feet in height, covered in scraggly greyish hair, with thin, scrawny legs and muscular and powerful arms. Most unusually of all, it was that Moore would claim that it had what he believed to be a tail flicking behind it, which made him think it might be some sort of large, langur monkey, but he couldn't be sure. Now, whatever it was seemed to be very angry and aggressive, baring its teeth and snarling wildly, and two terrified men could soon see that there were at least 6 others lurking in the soupy mist beyond, one of them allegedly with a baby around its neck. Now, the group of creatures all began growling and whooping as the first, which they took to be the leader, rushed forward in a threatening manner. And it was such a display of raw aggression, the two doctors now genuinely feared for their lives and brought their pistols up in anticipation of an attack. They were not sure if firing upon them would kill them or merely anger them further, so it was decided that they would fire some warning shots over their heads to try and scare them away. Moore wrote of this. We sighted carefully through the fog and waited until the repulsive faces were about 10 feet away. We squeezed the triggers almost together. The blast swirled in the fog in front of us. Splinters of wood and torn leaves fell through the foliage. The creatures stopped abruptly. A deathly, fearsome silence pervaded the darkening air. "Let's give them another one, Brooks," I shouted, more confident now, and the second volley sounded and we were definitely reassured. A third round this time convinced the demons. They turned, howling like wounded coyotes, and fled into the thicket. The excited chattering from the grey gloom told us, however, that they had not gone far. So the weird beasts were obviously still out there, warier now, but still circling and pacing about restlessly out in the wilderness. Moore and Brooks knew they couldn't risk getting off those boulders, and so they sat back to wait for the Sherpas, knuckles white from gripping their pistols, and darkness of evening slowly descending like a veil. Now they could see the creatures scampering about out there in the fog, occasionally venturing forth from the fog wreathed trees like something in a nightmare to scowl at them before scurrying back into the murk. It sounds terrifying. Now, for his part, Moore was convinced that they were communicating with each other in those alien, chattering exchanges, and that they were planning to attack under the cover of night. He says of this, the chattering and snarling from the thicket came only intermittently now. I tried to guess the leader's plan. Was he waiting for reinforcements? No, not likely. There couldn't be too many of them in these hills, and this no doubt was the entire pack. Planning to attack? This was more reasonable. No doubt they would hit us in one mad rush. Yes, a single mass attack at a time. Mass attack at a time of their choosing. They would certainly wait until dark at any rate. Damn those coolies. Where are they? So they're basically saying if only the Sherpas were here, we could make sure they get the Sherpas first. Really nice. The chattering around us was growing noticeably louder. Sudden, loud, and urgent growls portended something new in the offing. Brooks, this is it. Shoot to kill this time and pray. I remember giving him one last look. We had met in Kathmandu only the year before. Already he had become a friend that I could know forever. I cocked the .38 and waited. George Brooks whispered excitedly. They've stopped talking. An uncanny and eerie silence pervaded the air. What was happening? I raised myself a bit higher on the rock. If they were crawling in for the attack, we had to make every shot count. In the bad light, a 38 would not be a very effective weapon, and they wouldn't be afraid this time. But not a movement was discernible. Not a sound could be heard. Just as they were about to open fire in a final blaze of glory, they heard new sounds from the trees, and from the fog emerged the party of Sherpas. Those strange, ape-like beasts were now gone, having melted back into the mists, and it would turn out that the Sherpas had not seen them, but were certain that they had been the yeti. Moore would spend some amount of time in Nepal after that, although he would never see anything like those creatures again, leaving him to try and figure out what they could have been. It was a conundrum that he spent a good amount of time turning over in his mind, trying to pick away at those questions as surely as they had picked those leeches off their skin. Moore would conclude of his amazing ordeal. What was it that we saw? A mutant species that man has not yet categorized? Some kind of ape, large, erect, adapted to high altitudes, made antisocial by its self-imposed isolation? You see the dangers that can come from what's going on, folks? You see what can happen if we spend a long time like the way we are now we're going to end up like the Yeti. I'm just saying. Maybe somebody ought to tell the government that. Jealous of any invasion of its realm, perhaps? Or was it an entirely new species, an undiscovered animal, a leftover remnant from a prehistoric day? A creature clever enough to elude the curiosity of man, inhabiting an area still almost wholly unpenetrated by even the Sherpas, who seldom stray from the time-worn trails. And from 1618 to 1951, the country of Nepal, for all intent and purpose, was closed to the outside world. Even today, only a handful of outsiders have explored but a tiny portion of this land. Yet it was this handful, more interested in climbing mountains than foraging for new species, that brought back tales and evidence of a mystery creature that they call the Yeti. One thing is certain, whatever science will someday discover it to be, the creature humankind has called the abominable snowman is there in the Himalayan heights. I know. I met it there on the pilgrim trail from Tark Gyang. What was it indeed? Now, for the most part, the description, especially the presence of the tail, definitely sounds like a primate of some sort. It had also been suggested that this could have been one of the several species of bears native to the region. However, not all of the details seem to fully fit. With no other details other than what are in this quite spectacular account, it's hard to really reach a hard and fast conclusion. What we can say for sure is that the author of the article wrote this in all earnestness and was a very well-educated man who had been all through the wilds of this faraway realm of mountains and ice. It's highly unlikely he just made this all up. And so we are left to wonder just what was going on here. In the end, although it is a mostly forgotten report, it is nevertheless one of the wildest, obscure Yeti accounts out there. And I think I must agree that out of all the kind of encounters that I've read about when it comes to the Bigfoot, the skunk ape, the wild man in the UK, the yowie down in Australia, the Yeti in the Himalayas, that one there is rather intriguing. Two very well educated men, doctors. Nothing to be gained, I wouldn't imagine, back in, when was it? Did it say the year? Can't remember the year now. 1953. Not exactly the time to be making up clickbaity type stories. There's no dopamine hit on the back of that one. No, that's a very intriguing encounter. I'm going to have a little drink of my tea after that long-winded reading session there, and I do apologise for my monstrous reading skills, but it is what it is. I am what I am, and I thank you all for being patient enough to kind of afford me the time to butcher my way through these articles. So I'll be back in a little minute, folks. Don't go anywhere. And then I'll be going right on over to tfrlive.com. What a show I've got lined up. I tell you what, it feels good to be back in the old live streaming saddle. And to that end, you know, I am going to be jumping now over onto the main radio show, but you can get to watch it and listen to it here on YouTube on the TFR live stream. I'm sure somebody in the chat room will be able to post a link to that here. I'll be doing the show over on tfrlive.com. You can hear that there. There's a chat room there. You've also got iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio apps, TalkStream Live. And I'll be joined by Jimmy Jeans in just under 20 minutes. We'll be going live. And I've put together something pretty special. It doesn't even have a title. This is like really, really deep woo. And we're definitely going to be getting into the sounds of the apocalypse. And possibly sounds coming from the quantum multiverse. Oh, yes, indeed. We're going deep woo. There's going to be a lot of facts. There'll be a lot of speculation and conjecture along the way. But after I've laid it all out, and you can make of it what you will, that's unimportant. The important thing is that it gets you thinking. And even more importantly, it makes you want to call into the show. So the phones will be open over at tfrlive.com. I'll be back there real soon. And I'm going to be back here every day, I think, for a pre-show stream. As much as I can. I really like the buzz we had on the simulcasts and things. And I get, you know, with it going out on the TFR Live YouTube channel, I totally understand that. It's a radio show and I get it. We don't have that simulcast time. So my job is to make that up to all of you. And today I've certainly enjoyed this. You know, a little bit butthurt, big changes happening with everything that's happened with the channel. But now we're bouncing back. We don't let it get us down. We only look forward. And I know with all of you out there around me, we are definitely going to take this on to newer and bigger and better levels. And it all starts here with these crazy little live streams that we have together. Our little music that somebody made for us. And yes, there may even be a ceremonial playing of the game Doom. One of our viewers gifted me Doom. And we may well be playing that on one of the channels. I need to decide a gaming day. It's not for all people, I get that. But it's somewhere where we can all hang out in a chat there. You just can talk about what you want in there. I'll be able to keep an eye on it. I'll be able to have a word with you. I'll be able to game with some of you maybe. You know, good fun. That's what it's all about. We're living in really, really historic times, folks. And I'm not here to purposely take your eye off what's going on with the bigger, more important things in the world. I'm here to offer you something else. Something to kind of get your mind working. Our minds have got so much time on their hands these days, and I invite you to join me over on the main show, starting in 16 minutes, where we can all sit down and brainstorm together. Some of the good stuff, some of the woo, and yeah, definitely. And I'll be back here tomorrow on a live stream pre-show. We've got Bill Bean for the main show. We've got Nano Girl for a stream on Saturday. We've got the streaming with the guys on Saturday. So much to look forward to. So little time to cram it all into. But I'll be back here tomorrow for the KBS pre-show stream. Hope to see all of you here too. Until, I don't know, 16 minutes from now, you will be hearing from me again when Kev Baker goes away and Dave Baker comes out and he puts on his very fancy radio voice and we go live on TFR. Yes, indeedy. So tfrlive.com if you want to join me on the main show. I'll see you all over there. If, yeah, I was going to mention the Discord. I've not actually checked the Proton Mail website. KBS Discord at protonmail.com. I'm going to get to that today or tomorrow. So if there's any people waiting to get into the Discord server, then I will send you an invite via there. ZX81 in the chat. I think he's an admin on the Discord. I think he can post invites as well. So if you want somewhere to hang out all day, you know, have fun, talk about the serious stuff, drop links about your favorite topics, you know, meet like-minded people. Never any drama. We don't do drama anywhere near KBS. There's no drama. Nobody's more important than anyone else. And I've got enough drama in my own life without taking it online. So, yeah, I hope to see you all there as well. So I'll be back real soon. I'm going to go and make a coffee. Then I'm going to go live. Until next time, folks, 10 minutes from now, keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo.